I want to show you another game from this book written by Andrew Martin on the O'Kelly Sicilian, because I really like the style that Andrew Martin uses to teach the openings. Generally, he starts showing you a great game or a few great games to pump you up, and then he goes on the historical research of how that opening developed. And here we go on chapter 1, which is a timeline of the O'Kelly Sicilian. Honestly, the book is great and worth just for the description of Alberic O'Kelly. Clearly a great player from the past that we should all know more about it. And I really like that Andrew Martin wrote these few paragraphs to explain about this great player. Then we have game 2, which is J. Cochrane against Soma Karana. It was played in Calcutta 1858. So Calcutta 1858. We take our time machine and we go back to Calcutta 1858. E4, C5. Now, it's kind of interesting because 1858, it's possible that in Calcutta they didn't have this kind of pieces, Staunton chess sets. Why? Because I think the first Staunton chess sets were from 1849, 1850, and of course India was kind of far, right? Knight f3, e6, bishop c4, and knight c6. And here there is a new move that Andrew Martin says, obviously it's an ironic tone, because who would play bishop d5? It doesn't make any sense, right? Okay, so here black played g6, but it was possible to play knight a5 if the black player would have considered the idea of making white lose the bishop pair. I don't think he had that idea in 1858. Okay, so after g6, but of course white is happy to move 1, 2 and 3 times, no? And it's a kind of ridiculous, right? Because he has lost at least 2 tempi doing this. And then look what he did. B takes c6, right? So he gave black an open file and he gave black control of the center. It doesn't make any sense, right? So Cochrane, nice guy probably, but not someone you want to take a chess lesson from. Castle, bishop g7, h3, and again waste your time, yeah, because you have a lot. Again, here probably, I don't know, you need to at a certain point take and fight for the center. He's not doing it. h3, d6, d3 and e5. Okay, so this kind of pawn structure is kind of modern. And what do you see here? You see, like we saw before, that probably the knight want to go here. He could have a kind of attack with f7, f5. Now let's see how the game continue. c4, knight e6, sorry, e7, knight c3, castle, knight h2, and of course there is f5, like I just told you. Yeah, it makes sense. f4, and now black counter attack in the center with d5. Obviously the possibility here would be also e takes f4, which is not bad, but let's see what happens. After d5 there is c takes d5, c takes d5, e takes d5, and knight takes d5, f takes e5, and bishop takes. Okay, so material is equal for both of them, but who do you think is better here? Well, as always, you should start from the pawn structure. Black has 1 and 2 isolated pawn, white has 1, but this is a backward pawn, while these pawns are also, if isolated at the moment, are not really bad, right? And then who has more space? Here probably black has a little more space, and maybe black can also have more active pieces, so I think I would prefer black in this position. Okay, knight f3, obviously bishop g7, he goes back, and he wants to keep control of this diagonal. He doesn't want to go back here and try to enter here. He wants to keep control of this diagonal. Queen b3, very interesting, because now they are 2, and this is the problem. Every time you move this pawn and you have castle there, you have a problem on this diagonal, so it's a reality. What do you have to do now? Well, unfortunately you have to depart of one of your bishops, and black played bishop takes e3, b takes e3. Now, as you can see, the pawn structure changed. Now there are 2 isolated pawns and this kind of couple against the isolated there, right? How does black continue here? Obviously there is still the pin on this, so he needs to play this move. So what should white play here? Well, in the game he played queen c2, that is kind of dubious. Maybe there was this, but black could have gone back, and maybe rook fe1 is the move to play for white instead of queen c2, okay? But I will let you read the book, because in fact it put a variation about it. So let's watch queen c2, dubious move. Why? Because it's kind of passive. Every time, this is also why people don't like to retreat, right? Sometimes it's important to retreat, but once you retreat, as you can see, it's only black that is attacking, white is not. Okay, so how should black continue here? It continue with f4, creating an outpost here, but it can be quite a problem. Rook e1, try to keep control of e3, and bishop f5. As you can see, like I just told you, black is the only one attacking, and now he can play this, okay? Okay, so let me take okay, so he played queen f2. It seems that it would have been better to go back here, but eventually buy the book and read the variation, okay? So after queen f2, this is attack, right? So it's a little strange here. Black played rook c8 instead of taking here. But okay, you know, these are mysteries from 1858. Queen e2, and now there is rook e8. Maybe could have played knight takes e3, maybe. Okay, rook e8, queen takes e8, queen takes e8, rook takes e8, rook takes e8. And of course now he played c4 because this was attack, knight e3 because if you take he has a very advanced pawn, and he took. Very good, but he didn't retake with the pawn, he took with the rook. That's great. And he's attacking this, yeah, he's attacking this. So d4. And now if you are black, what would you play? Because this is a typical tactic that you have when one of your pieces is threatening another one, right? So the move that black played was bishop takes h3, because if he takes, he has lost the knight, right? Let's see what happens here. He plays d takes c5 and bishop g4, c6, and then there is bishop takes f3. And here white resign. So why did white resign? Here it says after g takes f3 there would have been rook c3. Okay, and so practically no, you don't have a possibility to really promote that. Or even rook e6, because if c7, rook here and takes. Yeah, very interesting. Okay. I think it's interesting and beautiful game, also if it's a little dated. But I like very much the book written by Andrew Martin. It seems this line is very simple to play. You don't have to really memorize much. From what I see, there are some typical maneuvers in the center for the knight, the push of the f-pawn. It's a kind of very simple Sicilian to play. Of course, this is just the second game. The book has what? Let me see how many games there are in this book. There are 110 games, okay? 110 games, and in the end, like always in these publications, there was the index of variations that I find it very, very important because I can see if a certain line is played and I play a correspondence game, I generally use the book as a reference. Thank you very much for watching. I hope to show you many more games from this book. Thank you.